You are Locked On Clippers Postcast, part of Locked On Los Angeles on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Wow. That is how you wrap up a 7-game road trip. Hi, and welcome into the Locked On Clippers Postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel and the Locked On Clippers podcast feed. I am Pete Fox, covering sports in LA for ESPN Radio and NBC Sports Radio, dating back to 2007. Clippers with an exciting finish to this road trip, a huge fourth quarter, and another massive performance from Kawhi Leonard. I mean, this guy just continues to turn it in night after night after night, 37 minutes when he looked exhausted. I have a note written down here that you could just see the end of this road trip on their face, and specifically Kawhi. But about a minute later, he came into the fourth quarter and just went off, finishing the night with 36 points. He had 5 threes. Again, 13 of 20. It's just remarkable what he's doing. 5 assists, just 2 rebounds, but so many clutch baskets against this Hawks team who did not go away until it was the last minute or so of this game. I mean, the Clippers had to go on a 7-0 run in the fourth. The Hawks just kept battling back, and they wouldn't ever, seemingly turn it off until it was all said and done. A huge fourth quarter, 47-43. The Clippers outscore the Hawks to win it. Some big buckets from James Harden, who also had a huge night. I didn't know that he would put back-to-back big nights together, but he did in 39 minutes, 7 of 14, 6 threes, perfect from the line for 30 points. It was just all in all a very exciting game. When you were watching, you're thinking, well, this Hawks team's pretty good. They're riding a 4-game winning streak. Even though they're a sub-500 team, they're playing well right now, not missing many shots. If the Clippers lose this one, it wouldn't be all that surprising. Smelling the barn at the end of this trip, wanting to get back home. An off day tomorrow, back at it on Wednesday against the Pelicans. The Hawks just kept shooting lights out. They were trading threes back and forth in the fourth. Early on, the Clippers played very well in the first. They shot 66%, while the Hawks were shooting it right around 55-60 in the first. They ended up on the night at 53% and 51% from beyond the arc. A very, very weird night for Trae Young. Now, I don't watch a lot of Trae Young. I'm aware of the guy. I know he can fill it up from anywhere. And during a fairly decent stretch of the third, he was burying threes from like 30 feet, like 2 or 3 in a row. He only had 4 points in the first half and finished the night with 25, which was good for me because I had Trae Young, Russell Westbrook, Kawhi Leonard, and Terrence Mann in a Prize Picks 4-way pick selection thingamajigger, combo pick, whatever they call it. But paid, what did it pay? I think it paid 5 times. So, me and my big $5 bets, 5 to win 25 on that. And then I had Westbrook paired up with this guy, Dejounte Murray. And Dejounte Murray's number was 21 points. I'm sorry, 21 and a half. He finished with 21. So if he had another half point somewhere along the night, I would have won another selection, and that would have been nice. But all in all, very profitable night thanks to Prize Picks. That was a whole lot of fun, especially when Russ had like 2 or 4 in the first half. We had no worries that Kawhi was going to get it done because his number was like 26. Terrence Mann's number was 8. He had 6 in the first half, so I wasn't worried about that at all. The one I was most worried about was Russell Westbrook. So he got it done, turned it on in the fourth quarter, and Russ was playing tonight with a different kind of energy. I talked about last night how sometimes he's dialed up too high. He's playing at 110% when we need like 85, 90 out of him. Tonight, it seemed like we got about that number. He had the right amount of energy. His battery was a little drained. His Russell, the Energizer battery, was a little drained tonight. So it was just about right. He was making shots, making layups, choosing to pass at the appropriate time while really right under the basket, which is not something you see from Russ all that often, like penetrating, elevating, and then dishing. He does it sometimes, but most often when he's in that point, he'll just go right to the hoop. And sometimes he makes those layups that are too strong. He did that a couple of times tonight, but all in all, it worked out very well for him. A big night off the bench, 26 minutes. He was 6 of 10 for 13 points, 0 for 2 from beyond the arc, but 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block shot. So Russell Westbrook continuing to deliver for this team. Coming into this game against the Hawks, as I said, they had won 4 in a row. They're a sub 500 team at 22 and 27, but they're number 3 in shooting in the league, or number 3 in scoring in the league, rather, not shooting. They average 121 a game, which again, 3rd in the league, but they give up 123, which is 29th in the league. So you can see the double-edged sword for this team there, that as it was described in the pregame by Jeannie Zelasco, that this team is kind of in the middle. Are they rebuilding or are they building? Are they trying to push towards something? You can't quite see where they are, and it's never good to be in the middle where you don't really have an identity. Are we a team that's trying to build around Trae Young and Dejounte Murray, who they just acquired recently, or are we breaking this down and moving some parts to rebuild it? It's a unenviable position to be in for sure. But the Clippers continuing to roll now, 26-5, dating back to December 1st. And just, one of the things I liked about this game that was nice was we've been talking about them coming out slow on this trip in the first quarter. And clearly that was something that the coaches have been talking about. That was something they had on their mind. They came out and looked very, very good right out of the gates. Didn't play a whole lot of D in the paint as the Hawks were penetrating, getting easy layups, but they went on an 11-0 run and a lot of penetrating and kicking, pick and roll, which we've talked about. Got an interesting comment from a viewer, I think it was last night, that said the pick and roll for the Clippers is working very well for James Harden and Kawhi Leonard, but they cannot rely on that too heavily because other teams are going to start to scout it and figure it out and stop it. And I agree with that point, but at the same time, I appreciate the consistency that the Clippers are bringing to each and every game, each and every night. And I agree with the fact that teams will scout it much like, a pitcher in baseball. If they feel like, this guy's hammer is the curveball, we're going to be ready for that. The pick and roll is something obviously that the Clippers do very well, and other teams are going to get better at defending it. If they continue to rely on it too heavily, is a very good point. At the same time, the other side of that coin is pick and roll is one of the simplest and most basic plays in all of basketball. And to say that you're going to go away from it because the other teams are going to scout it and become too familiar with how you do it and try to stop it is, I don't know that it's a fair point, really. I think it's going to be hard to do that. You can't really go away from the pick and roll, but it's working well for the Clippers right now, and I like to see that. I didn't love that they weren't really playing a lot of D in the first quarter, but I did love the way that they had more energy. Harden was feeling it. He had 9 in the first quarter. It was back and forth, not a lot of defense, but a lot of scoring, and the energy was up there. Again, 37-28 after one, Clippers shooting it at 66% in the first quarter. We'll hit the break and come back and get to the bucket list and keep breaking down this fantastic win for the Clippers, 149-144 to wrap up the Grammy roadie at 6-1. All right, tonight's show is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. They help you find qualified candidates that you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. LinkedIn Jobs knows that your success all depends on your team and the team that you surround yourself with. That's why LinkedIn Jobs has created the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team. Sometimes, you can have a great idea and a great business, but if you don't have people there to run it for you and, run the operations properly, you can get into a whole lot of trouble and get yourself into a hole. So got to have the right people. And sometimes it's hard to find people. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people. And again, it's free. It's not just another job board. It has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. Hiring is easy when you have that many qualified candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get qualified candidates within 24 hours. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Also, tonight's show brought to you by BetterHelp. Around the new year, we all feel compelled to go out of our way to improve ourselves, find things that we need to change about ourselves. And that's sometimes where the improvement tries to come from. How about another way of looking at it? Let's look at the things that we're doing well and try to do them better. Improve upon those things that you're already doing well. Therapy helps you find your strengths and improve upon them so you can ditch the extreme resolutions and make changes that really stick with you for the long term. I've done therapy a few different times over the years, and I always found it helpful to talk about things that were annoying me or bothering me or issues, problems that I was having. And when a professional that knows how to deal with these things is helping you break it down and work through it, it gives you the tools to take with you and deal with challenging situations. So if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designated to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. And having done both online and in person, the online version is very, very similar to the in-person version. Don't feel like it's less personal, like you're talking on the phone. Doesn't feel like that at all. It feels very personal and very effective. Celebrate the progress you have already made. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. All right, I forgot to do this during the LinkedIn spot raid, so remind you once again that tonight's show, Locked On Clippers Postcast, is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. I am Pete Fox. Thank you for watching me here on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel and for listening on the Locked On Clippers podcast feed. Clippers with a 149-144 win. I feel like this road trip has opened the eyes of a lot of people as to how good the Clippers are. Now, 26-5 dating back to December 1st. Best offense in all of basketball dating back to that date as well. And people are starting to take notice. I saw an Instagram, maybe it was Facebook. Yeah, I still use Facebook. I'm old. Post that somebody was trying to call their shot and say, hey, Clippers are going to win the NBA title. You heard it here, February 4th. So we'll see if that comes to be. That was posted by Trojans play-by-play voice, Pete Arbogast. So he's evidently on the bandwagon as well. I look at this team and I say they don't have a lot of holes. You can think that maybe the pick and roll is too simplistic for this team and defenses are going to figure it out. I don't know. I don't think that the Clippers rely on it too heavily. I think at times they rely on iso ball too much. And tonight it was happening a lot. And in the second quarter, after a beautiful first quarter, it was just ugly for the Clippers. I mean, too many iso looks. The fatigue was starting to show. You could see players like Russell Westbrook and James Harden just kind of standing at the point, dribbling, waiting to make a move to penetrate and try to score. There wasn't a lot of ball movement tonight at all. More in the fourth quarter than in the second quarter for sure. But it was still a track meet back and forth. But, it didn't feel like the defense was there. It didn't feel like the ball movement was there. But I guess the one bright side you can take out of a track meet in the second quarter on the second night of a back-to-back is that they had energy. And it was the end of a 7-game road trip. And a lot of times teams will just phone it in at the end of a road trip. It's cool, whatever. We're still going to leave on the winning side of this road trip. Ty Lue was hopeful that this road trip would be a 6-1 road trip, and it was. But in the second quarter, you could see that they were a little tired. Fortunately, the halftime break gave them a little bit more energy. They got back into it and came out in the third, started hitting threes right out of the gate. 4 threes to start the third quarter for the Clippers. After the Hawks went on an 8-0 run to finish the first half and tie the game at 66 apiece. So it was kind of like, what's happened here? I mean, they switched the second quarter for the first quarter. The first quarter has not been great for the Clippers over this last 3 or 4 games. Tonight it was. The second quarter was garbage. They led by as many as 13, though, during the first half. Again, finished the first half tied at 66. As for the bucket list, we'll start at number 5 as we normally do. James Harden hit a 3, and then another 3, and then a third 3. 3 threes in a row for Harden, the final one coming at the 5:28 mark of the first. 9 points in the first quarter for him. It was 22-10 at that point. Number 4, Norman Powell hit a 3 at the 9:23 mark of the second. It was the third for him in the first half, and it made it a 10-point advantage for the Clippers, 46-36. Number 3 on our bucket list tonight, Terrence Mann, a reverse layup, which was pretty, but not nearly as pretty as the pass that came from James Harden, a behind-the-back pass that just looked so comfortable and calm and easily executed by James Harden. And again, the 4:21 mark, it made it 26-14 Clippers at that point. Number 2, on to the second half, Kawhi Leonard hit a 3, 10 minutes to go in the third. It was 75-70 at that point, part of 3 threes in a row for Kawhi Leonard. And then number 1, the dagger, a 3 from Kawhi at 1:45 of the fourth to really put the Clippers in a comfortable position to win this game. And 1A, really a shot that I guess could also be the dagger, was a James Harden banked 3 and the foul at the 106 mark, which was ultimately the final nail in the coffin for the Hawks. Harden was again on fire, playing with a ton of energy tonight, played 39 minutes on a back-to-back, was 50% from the floor, 6 of 9 from beyond the arc, and finished with 30 points. Kawhi Leonard, 5 of 8 from beyond the arc, going 13 of 20 for 36 points. Fantastic play from both of those guys. Russell Westbrook off the bench brought the energy. Terrence Mann played well, had 9 points. Mason Plumlee started. He had 8 points, and Paul George looked much better. 7 of 13, had 3 threes for 18 points. We'll take our final break. We'll come back and get into superlatives and wrap this one up before the Clippers get back on the plane and head back here to LA for a home game on Wednesday night. All right, tonight's show also brought to you by FanDuel. Super Bowl is less than a week away, right around the corner, and that means it is time to get in on the action. The NFL is without a doubt tied to, in a large way, DFS and all this wagering, and FanDuel is a huge part of that. Right now at FanDuel, they have a great offer for you. New customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place just a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. That means you can't lose. And the app is so easy to use, set up so intuitively. There are so many different ways to bet, like same game parlays, find bets in the new Explore tab. So if you have a player that you feel is going to have a big day or a big night, you can explore, or you can search that in the Explore tab. You can make a parlay in the Parlay Hub and so much more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. All right. Big win for the Clippers. Big because they scored a lot of points. It was a meaningful win, an energetic win, a fun game, all in all. That second quarter was pretty ugly. The third quarter wasn't much better. There was plenty of moments of consternation and worry, but they go on to win it 149-144 and had it wrapped up with about 2 minutes to go. The fourth quarter was huge, and the Clippers come into this fourth quarter leading. It was 102-101 because of a huge Daniel Tice buzzer beater 3, which was massive. I love buzzer beaters. You don't get to see them all that often. I do some PA work at a high school in Irvine, And I've been doing it for like 3 or 4 years. And I saw my first buzzer beater in the JV game a couple nights ago. I was like, wow, that's the first buzzer beater we've seen here in a long time. And it was from the JV. So it's always fun to see buzzer beaters, especially when they're, from distance, beyond the arc, half court, what have you. And Tice's was a step or two beyond the arc, and more importantly, off balance and just kind of a heave ho. And it went in, and it was fantastic to give the Clippers some momentum. It really felt like it propelled them into that fourth quarter on the right foot. They had a 1-point lead, and then the stat appeared. Clippers are 29-1 this season when leading after 3 quarters. Would they still have won this game if it was tied at 101 or they were down? Probably, but take away 3 from this, and it's a 2-point win. It's a different game, much closer. So, I mean, that could have been the top bucket of the night, but I felt like it was still going to go back and forth, and it did, because the Clippers were trading 2s for 3s for a good portion of that fourth quarter. And then later on in the fourth quarter, about the second half of the fourth quarter, the late part of the game, they started trading 3s for 3s. You could see some of the fatigue, as I mentioned, but it was still kind of a track meet. I will say that the defense improved. It was a little better, but I think a lot of times the Clippers just kind of play to their opponent. And since the Hawks are a team that score a lot of points and don't play a lot of D, it just felt like that's what the Clippers were going to do tonight, right? You didn't feel like they were going to come out here and try to shut down the Hawks to 95 points. It's like, look, this is what they do. We're capable of doing it. So why not just run with them? Let's slough off a little on D and run with them. And it worked out in the end. I mean, Westbrook was attacking tonight at the right time with the right amount of energy and passing the ball. He made this one pass where I had to rewind the game to see it. It was so sly and slick behind the back. Like he penetrated to the paint, elevated, and then dished it off kind of behind his back to whoever was there. I don't know if it was Tice or Kawhi or who knows, but it might have been Amir Coffey, who also had a very nice night. 4 of the bench guys in double figures. Of course, Westbrook had 13, 6 of 10, and 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. Amir Coffey, 26 minutes, was 50% from the floor, 4 of 8, had a couple of 3s for 13 points. And Norman Powell continues to impress in 18 minutes, 4 of 8, 3 3s, 2 of 3 from the line for 13 points. So really everyone tonight was chipping in, taking care of their business. Terrence Mann finished with 9 and 21 minutes. I had him on my player projection combination pick, and his number was 8. He finished with 9, which was it's fun. Those things are fun to get involved with. So the other thing that I was a little worried about, and I hope the Clippers will address sometime soon, is when they're facing teams that are capable of shooting the 3, their perimeter defense is practically non-existent. Now, I know they can play D. They're a good defensive team. Not great, but good. And they can be better. That's what Kawhi was talking about the night before last. That this team cannot just rely on talent alone. They need to do it with effort, right? And that's really all about defense, right? Defense is about effort most of the time. And they cannot just sit there and chuck up 3s all night. Of course they can. They're capable of it, but it's going to haunt them ultimately. And it did at times tonight. It's just, this is one of those games where I think if you ask Kawhi about that specific comment, how did you feel about playing with talent versus effort tonight? Kawhi would say, yeah, we won this game with talent, not effort, right? Because the defense was not there. And at times tonight, they were missing shots. They would go through stretches where they got cold. The Hawks would go on a run and the Clippers would fall behind. Fortunately, they never fell behind by more than 4 to 6. I think 6 was their biggest deficit. But it felt like 4 was kind of in the fourth comfortably when they were behind. But they could turn around in 30 seconds to a minute and regain that lead with a couple of 3s. And they did that. And that is a comfortable spot to be in. A comfortable tool to have in your tool belt, a comfortable weapon to have in your holster, to use all of the analogies available when talking about scoring. So I just tonight, too much ISO ball. but that I think had to do with the fact that they were tired and just trying to save up energy for the fourth, because you didn't see a lot of that ISO ball in the fourth. You saw it in the third. I just kept writing too much ISO, too much ISO, too much ISO. I don't know. I just don't love it. I feel like this team is so much better when they're sharing the rock rather than playing ISO ball. James Harden tonight was doing it a fair amount, and it was working because he was dialed in early. And Harden is definitely a streaky shooter. When he gets it going early, he will keep it going for the most part throughout the night. And tonight he had it going right out of the gate, 9 points, 3 threes in the first quarter. So that was huge for him. Russell Westbrook not shooting the ball great, but playing with a lot of energy, not too much energy, and passing the ball tonight, which we like to see that from him as well. And Kawhi Leonard, again, just fantastic, is an all-star, without a doubt, should be in the conversation for MVP of the league and defensive player of the year. If he stays healthy, knock on wood, Kawhi Leonard is going to be in the debate for those two awards, because he's just playing fantastic every night, shooting well above 50%. I believe this his fourth or fifth game in a row over 20. He has a nice streak of his average over this road trip is like 27. Again, tonight, 36. So just fantastic highlight reel stuff from Kawhi Leonard. Let's get to the superlatives tonight. And again, thank you for joining us here on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel and listening on the Locked On Clippers podcast feed. Be sure to check out Darian on Locked On Clippers tomorrow morning. Make Locked On your first listen. Your team every day is what we do here at Locked On. Our superlatives tonight, I went with most energy, best dressed, and best friend. Most energy is a dual award. There are co-winners here tonight. Not going to be hard to figure out who I picked for these two, because Russell Westbrook always has the most energy on the team, and Kawhi Leonard, in spite of looking like he was exhausted and gassed, continued to summon the energy when he needed to, hit important baskets, hit big threes, just always showed up tonight when the Clippers were in a pinch. Missed a couple here and there that were surprising. I mean, you get so comfortable with the fact that Kawhi is going to make almost every shot he takes. But again, tonight for 36. So most energy, Kawhi Leonard and Russell Westbrook. Best dressed, because to me, I'm not a huge fan of the big overgrown James Harden beard, but when he's scoring 30 and he has those cool shoes on, I do love his shoes. I think he's got the best shoes on the team. Whoever makes those shoes is getting a ton of pub from James Harden's sneaker game. He always looks fantastic, because every night it's a different color. Tonight he looked great and he played great in spite of the big bushy beard. 30 points in 39 minutes, 7 of 14. James Harden, best dressed player of the night. And the best friend, also James Harden, because that generally goes to the guy with the most assists. He had 10, and anytime the Clippers anytime Harden has 10 or more, the Clippers usually win. They're on some amazing streak if he has 10 or more. I think they've lost twice with James Harden on this team. So a great night all in all, a 149-144 win over the Hawks in Atlanta to wrap up the Grammy road trip right where Ty Lue wanted it at 6-1. Off tomorrow, back home against a tough opponent on Wednesday. They will take on the New Orleans Pelicans. Join me after the game right here on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel and the Locked On Clippers podcast feed. Thanks again for joining me. Have a good night. We'll talk to you on Wednesday.